Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of All Things Sound. This is a podcast about writing music, or composition. We're going to think about what it means to organise sound and create music that did not exist before. From Northern New South Wales, I'm inviting you to take the time and make the space for all things sound. As this is the first episode of All Things Sound, I think it is really important to discuss a few big ideas surrounding music and composition. Through tutorials and discussions, I would like to offer you my perspective on how to think about writing, playing, and producing. I would also like to enter into a conversation with you about how you might see things in the same way or differently. And hopefully this will help us all in writing our own music and eventually producing our own bodies of work. Let's begin by talking about musicianship. This is a term which simply refers to all skills that inform your music making. These can include listening, practicing, performing, analysing, and writing. Composition requires a high degree of musicianship. It is a skill that is practiced over many years, and it could be argued that it is never truly perfected. So, in this way, it is a true vocation. Quite apart from the skills needed to be able to write music, this creative process allows you to ask some big questions. What do you want to say? And how do you want to say it? But perhaps more importantly, why? I hope, by challenging yourself with these questions and contemplating your why, that you will be able to find meaning in the work that you produce. In future episodes, I will present tutorials where we can write music together. So to begin with, it is important that we think about the three main ways in which we write music, relevant to all styles. In my experience, these are in the style of a composer or genre, in collaboration with other artists, and writing our own composition. Now, I don't believe that these three approaches are completely separate. In fact, they have much more in common than they do in difference. I simply think that when you are trying to understand the music of other composers, or when you are beginning to write your own music, tutorials structured around these three approaches are helpful. As I see it, the common ground between all three approaches is listening, understanding, and auditioning. And I would like to explain a little bit about each. Listening is the most important thing that any musician can do. Listening allows us to experience emotion and ideas in a way in which language cannot describe. Throughout the ages, listening to music has permitted us to feel and allowed us to learn. And listening is our first and last experience of music. The way in which we listen to music is incredibly important. Listen to the whole message, that is, to a piece of music in its entirety. Whether song, symphony, album, or concert, I have learnt everything from being present for a composer's entire work and attending a performer's complete performance. Listening to a complete work has informed my musicianship the most. Understanding what you are hearing is important if you are doing an analysis, attempting to write in a style, or playing with other people. This understanding can take many forms. On your instrument, you can play back what you hear. You can write out, transcribe, or notate. You can also use words to describe what you hear, and this is in the practice of musicology. Auditioning is about searching for and matching what we hear. And by that I mean, in trying to understand other people's music or in writing our own, we are attempting to match sounds. To understand another composer's music, we audition the sounds by playing back what we hear, whereas when writing our own music, we can improvise until we latch onto something that we like or attempt to play or notate the sounds that we hear in our own mind. Auditioning is about searching for and matching what you hear. Auditioning ideas is also the point at which we really begin to write music ourselves. Throughout the search for what it is we want to say and how we might say it, I believe it's important to be aware of the music we are making that we like and want to keep, as well as the music we don't like, in which case we should discard, or at least learn from. Auditioning ideas is where the creative process begins to take form. So once again, the 3 approaches that we will be using to write our own music are in the style of a composer or genre, in collaboration with other artists, and writing our own compositions. We will be listening, understanding, and auditioning in all 3 approaches. I'm really looking forward to writing music with you all in future episodes of All Things Sound. I would like to share with you my creative process, and I'm sure that I will learn much from yours. In each of these 3 approaches, we will be relying on some techniques and concepts much more than others. For example, when writing in the style of a composer or genre, we will be relying on listening and analysis to inform the structure, harmony, and rhythmic elements in our own writing. When collaborating with other musicians and producers, we will need to understand the concept of musical dialogue in making space for the ideas of others, as well as understanding what it means to lead and to follow. In writing our own music, we will be focusing on the questions, what do I want to say and how do I want to say it? No matter how the music is written, I have found that contemplating my why allows me to produce work in which I find meaning. This simple question requires me to understand what I hear, to hold close those auditioned ideas that match my why. I hope that by allowing your musicianship to speak through this creative process, you are able to produce polished work in which you also find meaning. On that note, I would like to end by thanking you for taking the time and making the space for All Things Sound. I've tried to give you some context of how we will approach composition, and I'm really looking forward to the next episode where we will be listening, understanding, and writing music together. If you would like to comment on any of these ideas, then please visit our social media accounts. I will also be hosting a discussion on Google Meets directly following this broadcast. From Northern New South Wales, I hear you. Go well.